the real estate muckety-muck? His wife's missing. Looks like kidnapping. Dead for all we know. Press is crawling all over it. It's on the tube right now, Channel 6. Check it out.
Many more questions and answers at this hour surrounding the apparent abduction of Santa Fe socialite and businesswoman Randa Tasker. Her husband Martin Tasker and server Manuel Oroso heard screams late last night. When they went to investigate, Randa Tasker was gone. Tasker refused to speculate on who might be behind any apparent foul play or whether his wife's disappearance might be connected to last week's arson blaze at her upscale leather goods store. No one has been charged in that crime. In recent weeks, Martin Tasker has been under attack by local Native American activists who've been protesting his plans to expand the Seven Arrows ski resort. Channel 6 viewers will recall some 30 Indian families being evicted from their homes as bulldozers moved in to make way for timeshare condos and a new $5.5 million lodge. Soon after our arrival early this morning, Channel 6 spoke exclusively to Martin Tasker, who appealed to the party or parties responsible for his wife's abduction. Can we roll that?
I just want to say that whoever's behind this, I don't care. I just want my wife back. And if anybody has any information about her whereabouts, about what happened last night, I am prepared to pay $100,000 for information that would lead to her safe return. And if you can see this, Randa, everything's gonna be all right. I promise. I'm sorry, that's all I want to say for right now.
That's it from the Tasker estate as we wait for investigators to arrive. This is Teresa Chavez for KITT Channel 6 News reporting.
Love my dog. But you know what drives me nuts? And I know all you dog lovers out there know exactly what I'm talking about. Dog hair. Dog hair everywhere. On the couch, in the carpet, in the bed, in the duvet. I even get it in my beard, and it drives me nuts. I just want to take Jack and ship him off to the SPCA with no return address. But not anymore.
Heading back to headquarters, over.
Copy that, D-52.
Ah, Detective. I was just grousing about you. You know Detective Night Sky here.
Detective?
This won't take very long. There's no point in wasting your time here when you could be wasting it out in the field. You're in overall charge of this investigation. But until you get your bearings, I've asked Night Sky to conduct the interrogations. I'm also assigning a Sergeant Rebecca Orlando to help you out. She'll be running down alibis for you. Now, right now, we don't have very much. We have as much as the reporters at the scene do. We got no suspects, no ransom demands, and no apparent motive. I emphasize apparent, detectives. Tasker's not exactly man of the hour around here since he booted those Indians out of their homes.
That doesn't explain why anyone would go after the wife.
Night Sky, tell them about that gadget you got there, that PDA, personal digital...
Assistant. We've been using these in the field. They're great. The chief or the lab can beep us 24 hours a day.
Okay. If you can't figure it out, you just push the help button. Now, fortunately, gadgets are not going to solve this case for us. Now, you got 5 days, detectives. Count them. 5. I've already heard from the suits at the Bureau, and they got about as much confidence in me as I got in you. So your job is to prove us both wrong. All right? Now, go out there. Give them hell.
D-52, proceeding to Tasker Estate, over.
Copy that, D-52. Detective Rebecca Orlando here, reporting for duty. Detectives, forensics will be closing up the crime scene in 7 hours, so you better head over there pronto. You've got 5 days to solve the mystery. Talk to...
I don't know what Chief Weber has told you.
Only that your wife is missing.
Missing. Sounds so benign. If I thought she'd ran out on me, I'd actually be relieved.
Were there problems between you?
No more so than in any marriage. Randa and I were happy. Delirious, really. Last night we celebrated our 3rd anniversary.
Why don't we start there?
It was Randa and I and a small group of friends at the Mesa Cafe.
If we might have their names, please?
Well, there was Randa's friend, Carrie March. I'm sure you know Carrie. Everyone knows Carrie. And my physician, Tom McClafferty. Oh, that reminds me. I need to take my medication. Mark Kennedy. The antique dealer, he was there. And let's see. Oh, yes. Free Tibet. One of Randa's wacko artist friends, her invite, not mine. And things were going along fine until Andrew Grissom showed up.
Another guest?
Hardly. Andrew Grissom is a disgruntled investor. We met at the Arroyo Club. I'm afraid to say that their standards are not what they used to be. Anyway, Andrew invested in Tasker Industries, misplayed his hand, and now he blames me for it. Anyway, he shows up at the restaurant, begins to shout at me, and then he wants to deck me until the maitre d' throws him out. Oh, by the way, Free was running her new video camera. Maybe she picked it up on tape.
Did your wife ever use drugs?
Just alcohol.
And you left the restaurant at what time?
Around 11:15 or so, because I know we were at home by 11:30. Randa wanted to go swimming. She asked if I would join her, and I passed. And she went down to the pool alone.
What was she wearing?
Well, just a terry cloth robe and sandals.
And what happened next?
Well, I read for a few minutes and must have fallen asleep. Because the next thing I know, I hear this horrific scream from the pool area. Now, I was a little disoriented, so it took me a few minutes to get down there. When I did, I heard the car screeching away. The gate was open, and Randa was gone.
Can you think of anyone who might have wanted to hurt your wife, or you for that matter?
Business I'm in, Detective, you make enemies like drunks make water. But Randa, no. Everyone loved her.
What about the arson incident at her leather goods store? Could there be a connection?
God knows.
And your own enemies?
No secret that a bunch of blowhards are up in arms about the Seven Arrows deal.
Blowhards. Is that another way of saying Native Americans?
Now that's a crock. I have given more work to the Native American than anyone else in Santa Fe. No, I'm talking about that half-cocked group of activists. Like that legal aid lawyer, Dan Longfoot. Now that man has publicly threatened me.
If this was a kidnapping, Mr. Tasker, there might be an extortion attempt. I want you to keep us informed, understood?
Of course. And if you hear anything, you'll let me know.
You bet. Your name and occupation, please?
Manuel Oroso. For the last 5 years, I've been Senor Tasca's manservant.
Tell us about last night.
Last night, I was in my room watching television. It was around 11:30 when the movie was almost over, and Senor Tasca came in. I went to them and asked them if there was anything that I could do for them, and they said no, that they would see me in the morning. Then they began to argue. I couldn't understand the words, but it was very loud. They argue a lot.
Were you aware that Mrs. Tasker went for a swim about midnight?
No, you see, my room is very far away in the east wing of the house.
Did you hear any screams?
No, what Senor Tasca did. I was watching the television when he began to buzz me and very excitedly screaming at me to meet him down at the pool. Well, I of course rushed right to the pool, and when I got there, he was already there. And we searched for Senora Tasca, but we couldn't find her. The gate was open.
How many dogs are out in the kennel area?
2, very loud.
So I noticed. Were they barking last night?
Last night? Not that I recall.
If there had been an intruder, wouldn't they have barked?
Not necessarily. Sometimes they bark and sometimes they don't. They're not really watchdogs, senor.
Was that unusual?
See, Senor Tasca was very afraid of intruders, so he always made sure the gate was locked.
Who has keys to the gate?
Well, I do, and Senora Tasca and Senor Tasca, of course, and Dr. McClafferty, in case of an emergency.
Thanks for your help, Mr. Oroso.
I hope they find the Senora okay.
Yeah.
The terry cloth robe was probably torn off in the course of a struggle with an assailant. Also, a trace fiber analysis shows several dark strands to be a camel hair mohair blend. You know, the kind associated with expensive jackets or overcoats. Also, the terry cloth belt seems to be missing.
D-52, we're on our way to Andrew Grissom's residence. Over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
This is about the dust-up at the Mesa Cafe.
That's part of it.
Look, whatever I did was only half of what that bastard deserved.
Where'd you go after you left the Mesa?
I drove straight home. Got there about 11, maybe a little after. I don't know.
And around 11:30?
Oh, then I was on the phone with my accountant in Albuquerque. I'm in the process of liquidating my assets. Guess I don't have to tell you that. And then I went next door and played cards with a couple of neighbors from, I don't know, about 11:45 to 1:30, something like that.
You in the habit of taking the law into your own hands?
The man destroyed me. Every penny I had was invested in Tasker Industries. The man misrepresented the state of his financial independence. He falsified records. What the hell could I do? He told me and everyone he was associated with outright lies.
So you thought you'd get back at him through his wife?
What the hell are you talking about?
If you don't know, then you must be the only one in Santa Fe.
Are you talking about Randa Tasker's disappearance?
Good. For a moment there, I thought I might have to provide you with a translator.
You can't seriously believe that. Come on, detective. He treated her with the same contempt he treated his investors. Why the hell wouldn't she bail on him?
All the signs indicate a forcible abduction.
This is insane. Look, I know I was a little bit drunk. I took a swing at Martin. That's the extent of it. If you want someone who'd stoop so low as to kidnap the man's wife, why don't you talk to the real power behind the throne?
You've lost me.
Try Juan V. Hill, the candidate for state senator.
What's he got to do with Martin Tasker?
V. Hill's greased the political wheels for the expansion of Seven Arrows. That kind of clout doesn't usually happen without, something going on. And Martin Tasker's been a big contributor to his war chest.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Grissom.
Yeah, right.
Have you two come up with anything yet? I'm getting heat you wouldn't believe. And I don't know what kind of conditions this woman's being kept under. Now get your butts into high gear now.
D-52, we're on our way to see Thomas McClafferty. Over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
Is there any news on Randa?
Nothing so far. We're talking to everyone who might help us.
Naturally, I'll do what I can.
If you'd be good enough to give us your name and occupation for the record.
Thomas McClafferty. I am a doctor in private practice here on Old Santa Fe Trail.
I understand the Taskers argued a lot.
Well, Martin has been under severe financial pressure. I'm sure he's told you about Vesco.
Never heard the name.
What, George Vesco, the man running Seven Arrows for Martin? Or perhaps I should say running it into the ground would be a more apt description. And as I understand it, Seven Arrows is a page or two away from Chapter 11. My own theory is Vesco's been embezzling. Too much money disappearing too quickly.
You've been Martin Tasker's personal physician for how long?
Well, going back to our association in Boston, I'd say almost 8 years.
And you both came out to Santa Fe at the same time?
Well, Martin offered to help set up my practice here if I made the move with him.
Isn't that a little unusual?
Well, you have to understand that Martin's a little obsessive about his health, and as a rule, a little leery of the medical profession.
Is that a nice way of saying he's a hypochondriac?
Your word, Detective, not mine.
You've got a key to the gate at the Tasker estate, is that right?
Now, that's right. And to the front door as well. I mean, Martin insisted on it.
One last thing, Doctor. What kind of medication is Mr. Tasker on?
It's a vasodilator for his heart. Nitroglycerin. Tridel's the trade name.
Nothing injectable?
Absolutely not.
What time did you leave the Mesa Cafe the other night?
Well, I stayed there until after the other guests left, sipping brandies until about 12:45, and I took a cab home.
Thanks. We'll let you know if we have any more questions.
Hey, if you get any news on Randa, please, I would appreciate a call.
D-52 proceeding to Carey March residence. Over.
10-4.
Can I pour either of you a sherry?
Sorry, we're on duty.
You don't mind if I indulge.
You attended the Tasker's anniversary dinner at the Mesa Cafe, is that right?
Yes. It's quite an evening. And then to be capped off with Randa's kidnapping.
How do you know that it was a kidnapping?
Well, I only know what I heard on the news. The very thought gives me chills. I was hoping you could tell me more.
Same here. Can you think of any reason someone might abduct her by force?
Detective, you know the old saying. You can search and search the wide world over. But sometimes the answer's in your own backyard.
Are you saying that Mr. Tasker could have been behind his wife's disappearance?
Goodness, did I say that?
I don't really have time for games, Miss March.
No, of course not. Have you heard the name Teresa Madrone?
No, ma'am.
Ostensibly, she's the Tasker's interior decorator. Frankly, her real designs have always been on Martin himself. My sources tell me that the affair's been going on for 6 months. They go horseback riding on the weekends. Randa's never been identified with the horse she said. And truth be told, I don't think Martin cares much for it either.
Do you think this had anything to do with Mrs. Tasker's disappearance?
Well, Randa knew about the affair and was extremely unhappy about it. I don't know Teresa, but I've heard she's a woman to be reckoned with. Now, the irony is, Martin is a very jealous man himself. He couldn't have handled Randa being driven into another man's arms. He's one of the most possessive men I've known. Like that business with Thomas McClafferty.
Was there something going on between Mrs. Tasker and her husband's doctor?
Nothing you could call infidelity. It was quite one-sided, really. Thomas had been in love with Randa for some time. Randa confided in me that he even made the proverbial move on her when Martin was out of town some months ago. She rebuffed him, of course. Thomas was devastated.
Was Mr. Tasker aware of it?
I can't say for certain. I don't think Randa would have told him. And I don't think Thomas would have been invited to their anniversary dinner if he had. But men are curious birds. I've never understood them completely.
How long have you known the Taskers?
Well, it was Randa I was closest to. We've been friends ever since I moved to Santa Fe. As for Martin, I can't say I know him even today.
Anything else you think might be pertinent to our investigation?
No, but I've got a million questions for you.
Another time, Miss March. Thank you.
Tasker just brought this in. It was left in his mailbox. Crime Lab dusted it for prints, but nothing showed up. He said he wasn't sure whether to tell us, so watch who you tell about this, hmm? The good news is, it looks like Rhonda Tasker's still alive. The bad news is, she might not be much longer. You better find the SOB behind this, and find them soon.
The only makeable prints on the ransom note were Tasker's own, and there's not much I could tell from the note. The letters were cut for magazines. The glue used is available anywhere. Remember, you can get a closer look at the ransom note in the evidence file of your PDA.
D-52, we're on our way to Teresa Madrone. Over.
Copy that.
We just have a few questions, Miss Madrone.
Please, call me Teresa.
You work as an interior decorator, is that right?
I prefer designer, but yes, that is what I do.
We understand your relationship with Martin Tasker was more than just professional.
I have no intention of concealing the truth from you. Everything you've heard is true.
Everything?
I should probably qualify that. What I mean is Martin and I have been lovers for the last 6 months.
Was Mrs. Tasker aware of the relationship?
I thought I knew the answer to that, but now I'm not so sure. Martin and I had an understanding. He made it clear to me that he was going to tell Randa everything. And I was under the assumption that he had.
What did everything include?
He was going to leave Randa, and we were going to be married as soon as the divorce was final. I see he didn't mention it to you either.
Maybe he changed his mind?
Look, Detective, you want to know if my relationship to Martin had anything to do with Randa's disappearance, right?
Now that you bring it up?
Absolutely not.
Maybe Martin Tasker did away with his wife to help your cause.
That's ridiculous.
You ever use a hypodermic needle, Miss Madrone?
What are you saying? That I'm a junkie or something?
I'll take that as a no. And Martin Tasker is one of your clients?
Both Martin and Randa. I've done their primary residence here in Santa Fe and their getaway house.
The broken syringe was a model AH-121, manufactured by the Smith Rotor Medical Supplies Company. It contains a residue of a powerful tranquilizer, telazol, combination of zolazepam and taltamine hydrochloride. I calculated there was anywhere from 5 to 10 cc's in that syringe, enough to knock out a horse, let alone an average-sized adult. But probably not enough to kill. No fingerprints, though.
D-52, we're on our way to Juan Vigil's residence. Over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
What is it exactly that I'm being questioned about?
This isn't a press conference, Mr. Vigil. I'm conducting a criminal investigation into the disappearance of Randa Tasker.
I just don't want this getting out to the press. Even the whiff of scandal in an election year and you're dead meat.
What do you know about Randa Tasker's disappearance?
Nothing except what I read in the papers.
You're a friend of Martin Tasker?
An acquaintance. He's one of the supporters of my senatorial campaign. Beyond that, there's nothing more I can tell you.
Mrs. Tasker was taken from her residence, most likely by force at about midnight Tuesday night. Where were you about that time?
Are you kidding? Do you actually expect me to provide you with an alibi?
I would hope you'd take this seriously, Mr. Vigil.
Do you want to know where I was? I was here with my secretary. We were putting the finishing touches on a campaign speech. She left about 2 a.m. You want to know more details?
If Tasker goes under, you lose one of your big supporters, am I right?
Look around you, Mr. Night Sky. Does it look like I'm the kind of guy who'd be affected by the loss of a single political ally?
Sometimes pride matters more than the bottom line.
Spoken like a man who's hoping to collect his pension.
Have you helped him out in his plans to expand Seven Arrows?
A good politician knows better than to get involved in somebody else's controversies. I've steered clear of that whole matter.
Thanks, Mr. Vigil. We'll be in touch if we need anything else.
It's been a thrill.
If you don't give me any work, like chasing down alibis, the chief is going to reassign me to another case. ¿Comprende?
D-52, proceeding to Free Tibet's residence. Over.
10-4.
My stomach has been in knots ever since I heard. If anything happens to Randa, I'll just die. A smart drink?
I'm sorry?
Smart drink. Yun tea fungus, bilbo root extract. I'm hoping it'll settle my nerves.
I'll pass. Anything in her behavior lately that was out of the ordinary?
She has been really jittery, preoccupied. When I asked her about it, she just changed the subject.
Anything stand out in your mind from the anniversary dinner at the Mesa?
Randa was a little high-spirited, spilled champagne all over herself. But you can see for yourself, I was videotaping that night. I was watching it this morning. You want to have a look?
Please.
Here we are at the world-famous Mesa Cafe, where the world-famous Randa Tasker and the world-famous Martin Tasker are wining and dining with famous friends in celebration of their third, count 'em, anniversary New entree.
Waiter! Another bottle of champagne. My blouse seemed to drink the whole bottle. Oh, Charlie, drink.
You're an artist.
Sculptor, painter, conceptualist. But you're here to talk about Randa, not my art.
That's right.
I still can't believe we haven't heard from her. I keep waiting for Randa to call, spieling some story about alien abduction.
I seriously doubt aliens are involved in this.
Not even illegal ones.
Did you have someone in mind?
You don't really think that Randa's business being burned down and her kidnapping are unrelated, do you? Please, detective. We all know who did this. It was that horrid Christine Bellata woman. Randa caught her red-handed, and instead of pressing charges, she just let her go. That could have been a fatal error.